The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Empowering Your Soul with Lisa Ouellet. If you're ready to make personal changes in your life and the lives of those around you, get ready for an hour of encouragement, enlightened guests, and engaging stories. Now, here is your host, Lisa Ouellet.
Hi, and welcome to my show, Empowering Your Soul. I'm your host today, Lisa Ouellet. I'm really excited to have with me today somebody who I've known for a while. Her name is Janee King. She's the founder of Medicine Drum LLC, a certified Brennan healer, a certified hypnosis, ordained minister, earth ceremonialist, and educator with over 18 years experience teaching and practicing energy medicine, intuition, hypnosis, and so much more. I'm going to introduce her to you and let her tell you a little bit about herself and how she empowers others. Janee, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. This is such a wonderful, a wonderful honor to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm glad to have you.
So, yes,
Can you tell,
I was a staff accountant or a general ledger accountant for many years, and I had health issues come along that I didn't want to be on pharmaceuticals. And so I looked into alternative medicine, and one thing led to another, and I was drawn to Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which was a four-year program studying the human energy field, transpersonal psychology, and evolution of the human spirit. And so that was a huge immersion into opening your heart, basically, and love. And so I bring that training, along with a lot of other workshops and other trainings that I've had along the way, into my healing room. And by being everything that I am and all that I've learned, sort of being in that space, it's an empowering feeling, and I use those tools then to help my clients, to empower them to check in with who they are, what they want in their life, and we use, Spirit calls on the tools from me that the client specifically needs in that moment.
Perfect, right. And so you're saying that it was health reasons that prompted you to leave the corporate world? Because I'm assuming you had a really good salary and benefits and all of those, all the things that we not expect, but all the things that keep us grounded, all those you chose to leave all that behind and become an energy healer because of health reasons. Is that correct?
Yes, Lisa, that's correct. I jumped over the edge of that proverbial cliff, and I was married at the time, and luckily, or fortunately for me, my husband was behind me 100% to support me. So I did. I jumped off the proverbial cliff, and I had gone to a couple of psychics to kind of feel into, is this right for me? And they were all very confirming that this was the direction I was to go.
Excellent. Did you jump right into the Barbara Brennan School, or were you introduced to other fields of energy medicine first? What was your first passion with that?
Right. Well, I stayed at my job until right till the end, till I went to school in September of 1996. But before that, I did go to one of her weekend, 4-day weekends in Boston to really find out if it was for me. And there was so much love there and so much opening and otherworldly stuff. I could not stop myself from taking that plunge. But I did. Before that, I had gone to an international herb symposium and the Women's Herbal Conference that opened me up to energy that I really didn't realize how much I was opened until later on.
Excellent. Yeah, sometimes you get a little taste of something and you don't realize that it's really what your soul is calling you to do until you start getting a little bit more of it. So how did you actually find the Barbara Brennan School of Healing? And can you tell us a little bit more about that program? Because my understanding is they help you to develop the hara. Is that correct?
That's one thing, yes. That's actually the senior the senior year, we learn Hara alignment and Hara healing. Okay. And I was because of my health issues and other things that happened at my corporate job, I went into therapy for my self-esteem. And my therapist, I had asked her a question, and she opened up Barbara Brennan's book, Hands of Light. And that was my really first introduction into Barbara. And I was pretty rigid and an accountant. So it was very interesting how just her opening that book, and she didn't find the answer that I was looking for. But then I saw Barbara burn a flyer in town in Concord. I think it was at the Co-op, because my therapist, luckily, was very New Age and directed me to New Age stores in town, and I started eating more healthy and going to the Co-op, and I saw the flyer for Barbara Brennan being in Boston.
And you were living in New Hampshire at the time?
Yes, I was. Pardon me. And so that flyer was it was for her weekend program, but I went down that time to experience the Thursday night lecture. I thought I'm the type of Virgo, so I just put my toe in and feel the water, and then I decide if I really want to jump in. So
you're an Earth sign.
What's that?
I said you're an Earth sign?
Yes.
Virgo. There you go.
Yeah, I guess that's an Earth sign, right?
There you go. Very grounded. Sure.
Right. We're very grounded and cautious. So I went down, and when I experienced this ballroom full of people, I just felt amazing love that I had never experienced before. And even coming from I come from a large family, so that made a huge impression on me. And I decided to go back the next year and do the 3-day program, or the 4-day program, and which I did. So it took me a year to go back.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, and then they wanted me to jump right into the program then. The teachers at that workshop wanted me to, of course, go to the school after that weekend, but I wanted to make sure I could do anatomy and physiology on the college level, because that was a requirement into this after the sophomore year. So the next year, that's what I did. I went to a college-level anatomy and physiology course to be sure that I could do it. Because I was getting old at that time, in my late 40s or something, and I hadn't been in college for so long. And then finally, after I passed my anatomy and physiology, then I dove in 1996 and went to the school.
It sounds like one of those experiences that's when the student is ready, the teacher appears?
Yes, absolutely. And I hadn't understood that way back then, but that's precisely what happened looking back, that I guess I was ready for that. And I just wanted to back up and go to that. The first International Herb Symposium I went to, I went there to learn about menopause because I was experiencing other health issues in that area, and to see a specific herbalist. But when I came home from that weekend, I had an amazing spiritual experience. I saw something in my backyard that night, and I showed it to my husband, and he couldn't see it. And so I was opened up to another dimension.
Oh, wow.
And
that's eye-opening. I mean, in more ways than one.
It was pretty huge. And being an accountant and still, not understanding all this, I really went into hysterics and thought there was something wrong with me at the time. But looking back, that was really the huge breakthrough and opening that I experienced, really, another dimension that was very benevolent and loving. But at the time, because I was the only one that could see it, and it was huge, and it was so vivid for me, and my husband couldn't see it, that it might have pushed me back a little bit, but it also, looking back, it was an amazing epiphany.
I'm sure that experience stayed in your subconscious, too, and helped you to move forward, on your soul level as well.
I'm sure it did, yeah, because it wasn't. Once you experience this kind of thing, there's no backing out. You can't block it out anymore.
Oh, right, of course, yeah. You can't go back, exactly.
Right, it's like taking Reiki or any energy, any attunement process. Once you've been opened, I suppose you could close it down, but I don't really know how to do that.
Right. Yeah, I've never been sure of that myself either. It's not something I've ever wanted to do either. I feel, the energy for me feels good, as I'm sure it does for you too. But if you're new and you're just getting into it, it might be a little overwhelming. I can understand that.
Right.
So you learned at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, you learned the basic learning of the laying on hands protocol, and then you started to do other processes. Did you start to work with the auric fields too, or?
Oh, yes. The first year, it's 5 weeks a year. So the first year we focused on my relationship or our relationship to the first three levels of the energy field. So we learned chakra 1, 2, and 3, and we learned those levels of the energy field and exercises to tune into those levels. And those three levels of the energy field connect us to the physical world. They're really the groundwork or the energy that supports us physically. And so the first year is all about who am I in relationship to my physical body. And then the second year is totally devoted to the astral plane or the heart chakra. So there were 5 weeks devoted to just going into what a lot of the darkness and the shadow that we bury inside of ourselves. And in the astral plane, there are many levels in the astral plane, but there are the highest levels of love, and then, of course, the lower levels that are very dark. So we experience the shadow the second year and opening up to healing that parts of ourselves. So the school was a lot about self-healing. While
It sounds
at the
like...
same
Yeah, go ahead. No,
while
I'm
at
sorry.
the same time learning the protocols of hands-on, of opening the chakras, of healing chakras and lines of light and so forth.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you got a great education there, and this is something that you've put into practice in what you do. You have intuition yourself anyway, right? You're an intuitive person.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and you had that before you went into the school. You maybe just didn't realize it.
Well, yeah, we all have intuition. We're all human beings, and I believe
Right.
that telepathy was our original way of communicating. So I'm sure I had it before I went to the school, but it has helped me to then grow that or open that, I should say, and acknowledge it and embrace it.
Right. And now, so when you're doing sessions with people, you're using your intuitive ability, you're doing the laying on hands. Like, what does a typical session, or that's probably a unique question because I'm sure every session is probably different, right? Each person has their own. Do you have specialized sessions, or do you have individualized sessions? How does that work?
Yes, I work one-on-one, and you're correct. Each session is pretty unique. I have all these tools. There are, I believe, 100 tools that I learned from Barbara Brennan's School of Healing, and then I've also done other work with shamanic practitioners and crystals and sound, and of course I make drums, so drumming and chanting. So what happens is when you come to me, you would fill out an intake form so I know more about you, and we discuss that at the first session, and then I just open to receive what you need in that moment. And Spirit kind of calls on me to use whatever tools this person's energy and spirit and soul wants me to use for them. And the main thing that I learned at Barbara Brennan's School is holding a state of being called love, or opening your heart chakra, and being in a state of love. And that really connects in with people sometimes just by being in that state. Lots of people can't handle it.
Oh, right. Which is where, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they open up in ways that's where the healing lies, basically, is just being in a state that they are not used to, the energy flow, so they can release whatever the blockage is by just being in it.
Right. And the name of this show that we titled the show is called Healing Heart and Soul. So that's basically what your process of healing is doing. You're working on the body, the heart and the soul, right? You're working on different levels.
Yes, that's correct. And I don't consciously linearly think of where I'm going. I just allow Spirit to guide me to the next process, the next step.
So every session is unique. Now, do you find that you work on, well, again, it's probably a question that you probably just answered, but I'm just wondering, do you seem to feel that people have more issues in the first three chakras, or it's the fourth chakra? I mean, I know every person is individualized and it's different, but do you tend to see a lot of the same auric fields or the same chakras that clients have? Is that something?
Yeah, basically the first three chakras are being grounded is difficult for a lot of people, and being in your third chakra, both the first, second, and third. So being grounded is the root, being rooted in the earth, it's funny because but we also learn characterology, which is a psychological term for how you defend yourself energetically. And usually you attract to you the healing that you need as well, that I need. And so I attract a lot of people that are out of their body because that's my defense mechanism.
Right.
So that would be that they're not grounded. And so I do have a lot of people that come in that the first thing that most Westerners need is grounding, which is the first chakra.
I would definitely agree with that. It's funny that you say that, too, because looking back when I started doing my readings as well, too, you do not collect people, but you do attract people to you the same similar situations that you're going through. It's like I start reading for people and then I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like this could be my life, and then you start to have 4 or 5 clients that have the same issue going on. You're like, what? That's kind of, synchronistic, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
Well, yeah, it's synergistic, but it's kind of also acknowledging that that's what your body is resonating. That's the energy that you're emitting out into the world, and that's so that you're attracting it back.
Right, and we're all energy, basically. So.
Yes, absolutely. Energy first.
Energy first, yeah. Energy first, and what second?
Well, energy. The human body, the physiology sits in the energy field. So the energy field is the matrix upon which the physical body grows from or is being supported by. That's why illness can be seen or experienced in the energy field before it becomes physical. So that's why energy work can be so helpful. If someone is not feeling well and they can't be diagnosed in the medical model, then going to an energy healer or a psychic or someone that can read energy or connect in would be beneficial for people that are not being able to be correctly diagnosed in the allopathic model.
Oh, that's true, too. I know we're going to be taking a commercial break shortly, but when we come back, we're actually going to be talking about, I know you do shamanic work, and it's more like indigenous, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that on the after coming back from the commercial break, and we'll talk a little bit about the difference between Western medicine and Native American medicine. So I know you're probably very well versed in that. You'll be able to share with us some information about that. But before we take a commercial break, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your healing sessions, or how can people reach you if they wanted to get a session with you?
Right. Well, they can call me at 603-526-6041, or you can go on my website, which is www.JaneeKingHeartHealer.com.
Okay. And you're in New Hampshire?
I'm in New Hampshire, yes. Okay. I do phone sessions, distant work. So it doesn't matter really where you are. I can still work through the ethers to connect in.
Right. And I say that for myself as well, too. When I do my sessions, phone work, the energy is the same regardless of whether you're in person with that, sitting face-to-face with that client, or if you do, well, maybe for you, if you're doing specific body work or energy work, you need to have it in person. But other than that, usually the energy can be done over the phone. But
yes, even the whatever I do, it doesn't have to. I'm not the one doing the work anyway.
Sure. Well, that's true.
Spirit's doing the work, so it happens wherever.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short commercial break right now, so everybody stay tuned. Come back for the second segment of the show. We're going to be talking about indigenous and shamanic practitioners, things that Janee can share with us. So we'll be right back.
This is the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
Lisa Ouellet is honored to assist you as you move forward from imprisonment to empowerment. Individual intuitive sessions are available in person, by telephone, or via Skype. Visit www.lisaouellet.com. While there, you can also find information about 1-hour and half-hour Reiki sessions, life coaching, and tuning into your intuition classes. These classes will help you learn to trust your intuition and tune into yourself more easily. Mention that you heard about us on Empowering Your Soul and receive 10% off your next session. Visit lisaouellet.com today. Are you dealing with a personal loss in your life? It can be just about anything, such as the loss of a partner through death or separation, something significant of value to you, the loss of a pet, or maybe something is missing in your health or wealth. Tune in to Healing from Loss with Brenda B. Host Brenda Blindenbaugh and co-host Monique McDonald are here to help you transform the loss in your life from pain to joy and move forward. Listen live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America 7th Wave channel.
The Voice America 7th Wave channel. Be extraordinary. Be the change.
You are listening to Empowering Your Soul. To reach Lisa Ouellet, you may send an email to lisawillette@comcast.net. That's lisawillette@comcast.net. Now, back to Empowering Your Soul.
Hi, and welcome back to my show, Empowering Your Soul. If you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Lisa Ouellet, and today I have with me Janee King. She is, for lack of a better term, she's so many different things. We're going to call her an energy medicine woman at this point. I'm going to share with you, or she's going to share with you, some Native American medicine, indigenous work that she does. She does shamanic work. So she's going to share with us some of that a little bit and just tell us how she incorporates that into her practice. Janee, welcome back.
So thank you, Lisa. Great to be on the show with you. I do have Native American background, but I did in my genealogy and my family history, but I did not grow up with it, and I learned about it around 1997 when I was a sophomore at Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which was very appropriate, being in the astral plane for the year. But
Right.
when I went to that herb symposium way back, I got turned on to drums there. They had a drumming circle and dancing under the stars. It was a solstice weekend, and it was at Wheaton College. It was a beautiful place. And it made me realize that I really love drumming, and I'd never been experienced to it before. I've never had that experience before. So I came home from that desiring to have my own drum, and I did find a drum over in Maine at a Native American store way back then. That was probably back 95 or 94, but that got me moving toward something that's in my blood, which is Native American ceremony and healing methods. And so I have since practiced that and learned about that from many different places, different healers or different workshops. And I learned how to make my own drums, and I've created workshops to make your own drums. But I incorporate, I have drums in my healing space, in my studio, and rattles that I make with different animal skins. And that is really powerful medicine and energy, which means it's the spirit of the animal is the medicine, or your spirit is your medicine. And so that's in the indigenous ways or in the native ways. They think about medicine as the spirit power of all things,
right.
not as necessarily a drug or a plant. The plants are medicine, but then everything has medicine in it. It's a spirit. It's an energy.
Well, many of the modern drugs, too, have botanical origins in their medicines, right?
Absolutely. In fact, most of them do. Just aspirin is originated from the willow bark, I believe, or willow tree. So, yeah, pretty much all pharmaceuticals. And if you look at what they're researching or where their people are, they're all over the world in the rainforest or in Africa, looking at how the people that live on the land, the indigenous people, stay healthy and what.
Yeah, well,
No,
right. I know that a lot of the world's food and medicine have Native American origins. So, I mean, we're going back. That's where it all started, I guess, right?
That's right, and the Native people honored the plants and as their sisters and brothers. The indigenous way, from the First Nations peoples that have lived on the earth, honored the earth. They honored everything as equal. The stones, everything is equal because it has a spirit, and that spirit is the medicine of it. And so, and they'd communicate, and we still communicate. We can communicate with the trees, with the stones, with the flowers, with the plants, and you can sit and communicate with a flower and ask it for its medicine. What do you have for me to teach me? Or you can ask. I know when I was in herbalism, as I said, I was looking at menopausal issues or that type of female issues, and mother's wort was kind of came into my life, and I planted it, and it was everywhere. And I started making tinctures and herbal teas out of it, and it really was what I needed. And so sometimes a plant will come into your life as a weed that you think is pesky, that really is there to teach you, you need me. This is the medicine for you.
Well, many therapies emphasize plants too. They're herbal remedy. They're herbal remedies. Even smudging, anything like that, and it's free too. I mean, anybody can go out in the backyard and communicate with a plant or a tree. You don't need to purchase it.
That's right, exactly. Everything is free.
Right.
The earth gives us everything we need free. If we were to honor it, if we were to communicate with it or just sit and look at it. And like for me, my favorite flower is a lady slipper, and that has huge medicinal properties that I didn't know way back. But just to sit and look at the beauty of how that flower, it's actually a wild orchid, is what a lady slipper is, and it's my favorite wildflower. And it's actually blooming right now in New Hampshire.
Those are illegal to pick too, aren't they?
They are, because when you pick them, they die. They do not regenerate. So they're becoming extinct. Right. And I actually have a friend that just emailed me that she says they're growing in her woods, and if you want to make an appointment for a tour, I could email her and get a tour, and I think I might do that tomorrow, actually, because I love just looking at a lady slipper. They just they take your breath away for me. And so what is that like for other people? What is your favorite wildflower? And the other thing out that's blooming now is a trillium. And just walking in the woods and seeing them, it's like power. It's like looking at this, all of a sudden, this beautiful pink or red, or everything's green and brown in the woods, and then all of a sudden you see a beautiful orchid growing. And lady slippers like to grow in a specific soil, which is usually around pine trees, which I think is sandy and acidic. So those are places that I like to go to, too. I love the smell of pine, of white pine needles on the ground.
Yeah, well, there's, again, it's everything in nature's free. I was doing some research a little bit, too, before we were talking, and they said because of 80% of the world's population can't afford Western high-tech medicine, indigenous traditions still collectively play an important global healthcare role. They said so much so that the World Health Organization recommended that they be integrated into national healthcare policies and programs. I'm not sure that will end up ever happening, but wouldn't that be amazing if they could do that?
Well, it would, and it happens that way in Europe. I mean, in Europe, especially Germany, they do have herbalism incorporated into their healthcare system because it works, and they're not as controlled there by the pharmaceuticals and the AMA, American Medical Association, which is basically a very big union. But you can't really make money on things that are free, so that's part of the equation that we have here in this country.
Right. Can we talk just a quick second here, talk about, and maybe you can shed some light on this for us too, the difference between Western medicine and Native American medicine. I know for Western medicine, we focus mainly on pathology and curing the disease, whereas the Native American medicine focuses on health and healing the person and the community, right?
Yes, it's well, we talk about holistic, which means they work with the whole person and the whole ecology of what they're doing, what they're thinking, how they're feeling, what their spirit's like, what their soul's like, as well as what's going on in the physical body. In fact, they really look more at what's going on behind the scenes that's not in the physical body, that is usually the core issue that they work with, and that's why ceremony, or what we might have called medicine men, they work with the spiritual level of the unseen worlds, because that's where things usually trickle in and cause the physical maladies. And that actually speaks also to, in the Western world, that's basically what stress is about. And 90% of everything going on, all illnesses in the United States, can be traced back to stress. And
well, that's true.
and if you want to look at stress, that's basically looking at more psychological and spiritual and other than physical things that are going on in a person's life. Right. What they're worried about, what they're thinking about.
Right. The Western medicine, it's adversarial medicine. How can I destroy the disease? And the Native American medicine is teleological medicine? What can the disease teach the patient? Is there a message or story in the disease? Like, let your body tell the story.
Absolutely, that's true. And if people were to look at their cancer or their broken leg or whatever's going on with them as a lesson or teaching, and that's what I've learned to do, is even if I stub my toe in the morning when I get up, I stop and breathe and ask myself, okay, where am I and how come I did that? Because I did it to myself. And basically, all illness is created by the person that has the illness. It's not like they caught a cold from somewhere else, or it's not like they caught cancer from somewhere else. It's something that's out of balance within them.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, exactly, that's true. What you're saying is it's not like somebody's doing something to you. This is all about you and your life and what you came here to learn. Which sometimes
and your intuition plays a primary role too, because in the Western medicine, the intellect is primary. The medical practice is based on a scientific theory, whereas we're going into the Native American indigenous medicine, the intuition is primary. You're going within. Your healing is based on a spiritual truth or learned from nature or spiritual visions or things like that. You're kind of listening to the body, listening to the intuition, going within. So yeah,
right.
I wish.
And again, every person is unique, whereas in Western medicine, they think everyone falls within a textbook of diagnoses. Whereas, the indigenous and the Native American or the people living on the earth, the 80% of people really, they look at it a different way.
Oh, it's crazy. But again, it's what we've been conditioned to understand, and people like you that are helping us realize the difference. That's perfect. That's
right. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot more people practicing medical intuitive, which is what can happen. That happens in my practice sometimes, but not all the time. But actually intuiting into a body what exactly is going on. Like Barbara Brennan, my teacher, could actually see like X-ray vision in people's bodies and see where the energy was coagulating or where the stuckness was or where the darkness was, and actually that's one of the techniques that we learned to pull them out, and she could actually see that. And some people can't. I can't say that I see it, I feel it. And but it's caused, the cause or the root issue is usually, it's not caused by something we did to ourselves or something that somebody outside of us did. It's a teaching.
Right. Louise Hay has a book, You Can Heal Your Life. And basically, if people come to me for a session and they tell me they're, sometimes a Reiki session, they'll tell me that they're experiencing lower back pain, go to the book, and it's really all about lower back pain. And the You Can Heal Your Life book is all about money worries, or if they have a problem with their ears, if they have an ear infection or something and hearing in their ears, you think, well, physically, yes, it's in my ears, but when you look at the book definition, it's all about anger and, not being able to communicate properly or things like that. So it's just fascinating.
Yes, there are metaphoric lessons in each part of our body. And when we really delve into that and question that, and when you're having your hands on, like with Reiki or with the energy work that I do, you have your hands on a body, that's the information that many times comes through. And when you say it to the person, it doesn't make sense to you, but when you speak out loud what's coming through and intuitively, the patient or the client will just understand it completely.
Oh, I know. I've had that happen before. I was so embarrassed to say something one time, and I was like, "Oh my God, this has nothing to do with anything." And and they started laughing. They're like, "Oh my God, that just happened to me 2 days ago." And I'm like, "Really?"
That's right. So trusting. That's the big thing I learned at healing school was surrender into the moment and trust that what you're getting is clear, and then allow the spirits or allow everything to happen as it should. Allow everything to kind of fall into place. So trusting, no matter what it is, how crazy it sounds, just trusting that it's what they need.
Absolutely. You got to do that. Hey, can we talk about real quickly here too about, do you do sweat lodges? I know in your, that might not really be in the healing aspect of it, but can you share a little bit about sweat lodges, or do you participate in those?
I participate in sweat lodges here in New Hampshire, but I do not lead sweat lodges. You have to have a specific training to do that, and the sweat lodge is called an inipi, which is it's a spiritual. All the ceremonies, all the indigenous cultures, all the Native American ceremonies are, to me, prayers. They're a way of people going back to the earth and praying. And a sweat lodge is a dome covered over dome with a small little door. And inside there's a hole where they put hot rocks, and they and everything is done in ceremony. So the rocks are heated in a specific way, and with a specific number of rocks, and they're wrapped with prayer ties, and they're brought into the lodge in a ceremonial way. And the way that I practice or learned is, as they're brought in, we sing songs and pray to them, and because they're beings, they're conscious, just like they're beings, and they have energy. So we're praying to they're our grandfathers, and when we go into the sweat lodge, then these stones can be red hot, and we sit in the circle inside, and when we close the door, it's totally black, and so the symbol there is.
I don't think I'd like that.
Well, I used to be claustrophobic, and I can say that I am no longer, and it's a spiritual experience.
But everybody, because it's dark too, no one's lesser or more. Everyone's equal in that. You become an equal participant because everybody can see the same thing, right?
Right, and you're giving up. You're giving yourself to the womb of the mother. This is like a womb, going in the womb, that blackness of the going back into the mother's womb, the earth's womb. That's the whole symbolism, and that's exactly what you're doing. You have to crawl in on your hands and knees and sit cross-legged on the ground. And when the door closes, yes, everything's black. The stones can glow a little bit, and
right.
And the man that does the lodge where I practice is he'll sprinkle sometimes some specific herbs on the stones as prayer, and there'll be prayer ties hanging from above. That the whole ceremony of the Native American is about praying to Great Spirit, to Tunkashila, to the grandfathers and the grandmothers, and all the spirits, and always connecting into. Everything on the earth is alive, and having gratitude for that, and giving prayers for that, and thanks for that.
Absolutely. And, well, like you said, too, it's definitely a ceremony, and that's nice to know that, it's ceremonial. That sounds pretty empowering, too, what you just talked about. I can only imagine that you can really start to reclaim responsibility for yourself and start to take control of your soul that way, really. I mean...
Well, yeah, that's the one way to heal claustrophobia.
I have it, but I don't think I want to heal it that way. I'm not sure I'm ready for that one yet.
Well, if you find someone facilitating that's very gentle, you can sit by the door, so you can always leave. And part of the thing that I did in the beginning was I kept my eyes closed, so that I was always praying with my eyes closed. And then every now and then I would look for. But then in the darkness is when you see spirits.
Right.
You begin to see the other world. You begin to see the other side because they're invited into that because they need it to be black and dark.
And I know it promotes healing at all different levels too. It generates forgiveness, releasing emotions, right? All belief patterns kind of that have been imprinted on our minds are probably kind of able to just be let go at that point.
Right, and they're imprinted in our cells, and plus you're sweating, and it gets very hot. So the person leading it pours water on the hot stones, and the steam comes up, and it gets very hot, so it's like a sauna, but it's different because it's
like Bikram yoga.
What's that?
I said, is it like Bikram yoga? I was just kidding.
I don't know what that kind of yoga is. I'm not really a yoga practitioner.
Oh, I think it's when the temperature is over 100 degrees and you're sweating. But
okay.
I just got the cue for our commercial break. So
okay.
We're going to stop here at this point in the conversation. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit. I know you do drum making ceremonies or you teach drum making workshops. So we're going to come back in a short break. After the short break and talk about that. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to email them in at lisawillette@comcast.net. And I will be happy to take your emails and read them online read them over the show. And we'll answer your questions if you have any. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a quick moment.
The Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
Lisa Ouellet is honored to assist you as you move forward from imprisonment to empowerment. Individual intuitive sessions are available in person, by telephone, or via Skype. Visit www.lisawillette.com. While there, you can also find information about 1 hour and half-hour Reiki sessions, life coaching, and tuning into your intuition classes. These classes will help you learn to trust your intuition and tune into yourself more easily. Mention that you heard about us on Empowering Your Soul and receive 10% off your next session. Visit LisaOuellet.com today.
We all want peace. We all desire a more meaningful life. We work hard to achieve these things, but at what avail? The key is authentic living with Andrea Matthews. Andrea will interview some of the great spiritual experts of today and will provide wisdom to help you raise your consciousness to the level of your own I am. Your authenticity can give you miraculous gifts, but you have to know how to get there. Listen for Authentic Living with Andrea Matthews. Heard live every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on the Seventh Wave Network.
The Voice America Seventh Wave Channel. Seek greater awareness.
You are listening to Empowering Your Soul. To reach Lisa Ouellet, you may send an email to lisauellet@comcast.net. That's lisauellet@comcast.net. Now, back to Empowering Your Soul.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Lisa Ouellet. I wanted to just take a quick moment, too, and say that I had a lot of positive feedback about last week's show, Sacred Sound Solar Breathing. I had a lot of emails come through, and everybody said that they were able to feel the energy over the through their internet, through listening. So thank you again to my guest last week, Kevin. A lot of people had a lot of positive things to say about that, and I was able to forward information along to him. If they had personal questions, I sent those emails over to him. So that was great. If, again, like I said before, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask us through this show, please feel free to email me at lisauellet@comcast.net, and I will go over the questions that we receive. I did receive a question here, and we're going to go into that. It coincides with what we're going to be talking about in the next segment. And I did want to say also, if you are not able to listen live, you can also always download the Stitcher app and listen on your phone or smartphone or iPad anytime you want. So I'd love to, and I'd love to have feedback from you. So please, I love feedback. So send those emails along. All right. So getting back to our conversation with Janee King. Janee, in the last segment, we were talking about Indigenous healing, and now I wanted to ask you, I wanted to kind of segue into, do you use drums in your healing sessions? Because I know that you talked about drums, and I know you facilitate drum making workshops. So you obviously do use drums in your healing sessions. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. When the client's energy calls for that, I have many drums in my studio, so whatever drum calls, I do use drums based on the information that comes from the client's energy field in the moment. So it's an in-the-moment thing. And I also use my drums to clear the space, and rattles to clear the energy. Sound is an amazing healer. And just using that instead of smudge, because lots of times people are allergic to smoke. And right. Smudge is just burning white sage to pick up the bad energy, the negative energies or the dark energies from a space and have it go up and out, up to Great Spirit or away. And the drum, or the tone or the sound of the drum can do a similar thing. It's another way of cleansing. And it's also used to go into trance, to go into another level of being, a non-ordinary reality. So you could use your drum to... and sometimes that's what I do in my healing space. If that person needs to go deeper into a space, into whatever their process is, many times I will pick up a drum and just drum at a steady beat.
Okay,
and
excellent.
A really steady beat, and I have different animal drums too. I have so it may depend also on what their animal is. I have elk hide, I have deer, I have bear. Calf hide and cow hide.
And you facilitate making drums too. I know this personally because I took one of your drum making workshops and I made a drum through your workshop. So,
yes.
And I think the drum we made that, I can't remember which one it was. Was it elk? No, it was deer. It was a deer hide.
Yes, you made a deer hide drum.
Okay. But you're saying you make the workshops that you do, are there different kinds of drums that you make?
Yes, I do. It seemed like this early spring, from January until your workshop, I was focusing on deer medicine, the medicine
Okay.
of the deer, and so I facilitated deer medicine drum workshops at that point, and then now it's sort of shifted into elk hide, and I'm offering elk hide drum workshops now. And I actually have one planned for July 9th, which is the middle of the week down in Townsend, Mass.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Illuminations of Gaia. Bindi Johnson had contacted me, and I do facilitate workshops throughout New England.
Okay, well, that coincides with our question. I was going to tell you, Frank from Barrie, Vermont wrote in and he said, do you ever hold drum making workshops in Vermont? So you just answered that for him. You do them
Yes,
in New England. So you
thank
travel?
You, Frank.
You travel?
Yes, I would love to I'd love to organize a drum building workshop in Barrie, Vermont, or anywhere in Vermont. I have done some up in Wells River. I've done a drum building workshop, and I belong to the Spiritualist Church over in Heartland, Vermont. So we have done a drum building workshop there. So yes, thank you for that question, Frank. I would love to, and I do drums all over, drum building workshops all over New England. And my drums that you would make in a workshop is a 15-inch diameter hoop, which is about 3 inches deep. And right now, as I said, I'm focusing on elk hide. However, if you're looking for a specific kind of hide, we can work with that too. One of these days, I want to do a moose hide workshop.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Moose is a heavier hide, so I probably would need bigger.
Well, I can't even imagine, because I was just going to say, from my personal experience, oh my goodness, boy, did I need a lot of strength. That was not you think it's going to be easy, but it wasn't. It was a lot of work.
Right. It's not easy, and it's a good personal process. And some people go into an emotional reaction when they're making a drum because you don't realize the process that you're going through. It is a creative process. You're also handling an animal that was alive, so it's a real animal energy, for you, the deer energy, that you're and we're honoring that deer. We're giving new life to that animal, that four-legged animal, by giving him that or her. The voice of the drum is now the voice of that deer.
Absolutely.
That you have as a drum.
It's a beautiful process, I have to say. That we had a nice small workshop, so it was intimate. There was maybe 4 or 5 of us. It wasn't too large, so we were able to get good one-on-one work with you, which was really great for me, because I seemed to I used my intuition too when I was picking out my drum, which was great, and I ended up with a beautiful color drum, like different than everybody else's. Everybody else's was light, and mine was like a really darker brown. And it's beautiful. I love it. I love using it in my healing sessions, and I just really love the sound of it and the vibration. But it was great to have you there to explain everything. Very, very knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I've been doing drum building workshops since 1997, which is when I had learned about my native heritage. And actually, it was my former husband that learned how to make a drum. And then we offered people that we knew that all found out he made drums, and taught me how to do it. And the first workshop we had was in February. It was every kind of weather came through that day, so we just felt that was a really acknowledgement of spirit that we were to continue offering drum building workshops. And so this is a passion that I've moved forward with, and no longer with my husband, but he didn't have that passion that I have to keep it going. So, and plus I have the Mi'kmaq and the Wampanoag background to kind of. I wanted to be a drummer when I was in the 4th grade.
Oh, really? So you've had it in your blood all this time.
I've had it in my blood all this time, and it finally it's coming out now, and making drums and having these beautiful, beautiful instruments. I just love every single drum. They're like my kids, as you know. Every time someone comes to a program and brings one of their drums that they made in my workshop, they're like, "Oh, it's one of my kids."
I know, you said that. It's kind of cute. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, in addition to the drums, you also do feather readings too, right? So you work with drums and feathers. So
I do.
Could you tell us a little bit about your feather readings too? Because I know from personal experience, I've had a few of those over the years, and they're very, very interesting.
Yeah, I've been collecting feathers all my life, and when I made a box to keep them in, and one day I was going to a healing fair, bringing my healing table to a fair where I was going to do healings, and the feathers, the day before, the feathers almost fell off the shelf, and I had made a vow to really pay attention to my intuition that day, or from now on, rather. And the feathers fell off the shelf, and they told me to read them. And I could not listen to them because I just made a vow to listen to my intuition.
Right.
And so,
got to honor that.
Right. So I honored it, and I took them with me to that the next day. And that was up in Wells River, Vermont, where I actually did one of the drum building workshops too. And I didn't know what I was doing. They told me what to do, to set up a medicine wheel, and so exactly, Lisa, how you experienced it. They told me how to do this, what to do. I brought them up there. The first person that came was free because I had no idea how it would work, and
Right.
It was just amazing. The feathers just pour their information out of me. So what people do is they choose a number of feathers and they place them on a medicine wheel on the table, and depending on how you place it, where you place it, and what kind of feather and how its direction is, they tell me what that information is that you need to know from how you place the feather and what kind of bird, which bird it came from.
Oh, right. Yeah, and I know that I've had them spread out over, periods of time over years, and each time it's been exactly dead on with what's going on in my life. So it's pretty fascinating how, you can be drawn to one particular feather at one particular time in your life, and depending on where you place it, it really means something specific. If you place it a particular way, it means something different too, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, some people place them, it becomes a beautiful mandala, but they have cut off all the energy moving from all the directions, so that it tells me they're cutting off the energy going to their core. Or for another person, it might not mean exactly that. And sometimes what happens is when I see a feather, it'll take me to the bird, and the bird will show me a behavior, and that's the behavior I tell you, and that's exactly what you need to know to change something, or your diet, or something like that.
Oh, it's amazing. Again, like I say, it was definitely dead on, spot on with exactly where I was at that point in my life. The last time I had, the last few times I've had those readings too. Now, is that something that you can do? Can you do feather readings over the phone, or maybe not because the person has to choose? Could you do it over Skype or something, or? Probably not, because the person has to put the feather down, right? That's probably something that can only be done in person.
Yeah, well, I have done them over the phone, but they're not. I usually just visualize what feathers they're choosing. But no, it's really not something you can do with the phone easily. Okay. And I have not tried it on Skype. I'm not technically.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just wondering. So if you're local in the New England region, and if you're listening outside of our listening area, obviously that might not be something that you could do personally, but you could always get in touch with Janee for something else of all the other information that she's just talked about. Have you ever thought about doing drum making workshops outside of New England?
I have, actually. I've been to Boulder, Colorado. I have a friend in Carolina. I haven't gone down there yet, but she's been after me to go to North Carolina to do a drum building workshop there. So yes, I do travel.
Excellent.
And it's just fun. So and this is such a passion, and it's sort of my spiritual path to do this and to offer these. So yes, I travel wherever drums are called to be made.
Wherever spirit calls you, right, Janee?
Yes, wherever spirit calls me. I look at what I do in my life as my reason for being on this planet right now. And I had on my show yesterday. I have a TV show, and
that's great.
Yeah, Dorothy Morgan was on the show. She's an astrologer, and she was reading my chart, and I can't believe that it's so in line with everything that I'm doing, because I haven't had it read since 2007. The person
and let me just interrupt. Your show is called New Earth Lifestyles, and it's community access TV, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes. I forgot. I wanted to.
You can go to manchestertv.org and click on channel 23 at 2:00 on Thursdays, and I'll be live, and you can call in and talk to me. Excellent. And so yesterday we had an astrologer. I was just amazed that my chart it was so right on for what I'm doing in my life right now, and the fact that this spiritual aspect of Native American heritage that I am bringing out in me is I'm walking this talk. I am walking from the heart, and that's how I help people. And
isn't that amazing? I know.
I was able to see it in my chart.
I know. I had an astrologer, Graham was on my show. Graham James was on my show a couple weeks ago, and I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be looking at astrology wise too. It's funny when we're walking our walk, talking our talk, being on the soul path. It's interesting, huh?
It is. It's it makes me able to meditate deeper, I guess, because I don't think I'm wasting my time and have to do something else, It's like, wow, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, I'm trusting, I'm allowing, I am being, and
That's
great.
really all we can do at this point.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And so if anyone wants to organize any kind of a drum building workshop, I am absolutely open to that. You can go to my website, or you can actually email me. It's jane.e.king@gmail.com.
Okay, and again, we're nearing the end of the show now. So again, if anybody wanted to get in touch with Janee, you could reach her at www.janeekinghearthealer.com. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Janee, for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you here, and you gave us lots of informative information. I would encourage anybody listening to get in touch with either Janee or myself if you have questions about the show. You have both of our emails. And it's been a pleasure to talk to everybody today. I'd like to thank you so much for listening, and continue listening on next week. We have a nice engaging show coming back next week. So everybody have a great weekend, and thank you again, Janee.
Thank you for listening to Empowering Your Soul. Please be sure to join Lisa Ouellet for another engaging program next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, noon Eastern Time on the Voice America 7th Wave channel. This week, stop feeling imprisoned and start being empowered.